spannend. So, wir probieren hier mal ein without editing. We are trying to make a video of that device I bought. That is a Fender MGT4, and without editing means I just film it from my camera where I filmed that with. But on YouTube I found not very much tutorials about that device, and I thought, okay, why not film something specific for this together with my Fender amp. And I want to go through it, but just I don't want to talk too much. So that is the device. That was in the package, no description, nothing, just the device and the cable. Bought it from Amazon, and here you see it now connected already to the amp, which I show you next. So I'm using that Fender amp GTX 50, or another version would be the 100, but I have the 50, what is a bit smaller than the GTX 100. And the thing is, the GTX 50 from Fender came without any foot switch, and I was a bit I wanted to purchase a cheap one, and so I got that MGT4 instead of that GTX 7. The ETX 7 is the expensive one that is specially designed for that amp. But you can use this as well. Let's move the microphone here. So, how it is set up, you press on, press here that menu button, and then you have the control to foot switch. That button here, and there you have the three options in that amp. GT expression pedal, I don't have it. GTX, that would be the official one, and MGT4, that is the one I purchased on Amazon, and I saved 50 bucks compared to the GTX. So I guess 4 buttons would be enough for my talent. Yeah. Okay. Here I have 4 options in that menu. The lower ones I set it to on. Quick access. That is one option where you have, I guess, 3 amps predefined to have a switch between those 3 settings. So looper, I use it for looping my signal, because I wanted to try not to have an analog chain. I wanted to have it just over the foot switch. Yeah, because then it's more tidy under the amp, and I don't have too many pedals there. So that would be the looper. FX assign, I come later to that, and that is the most important I'm using now. That is quick access. On that quick access, I can set up the amps. So select in a preset from that from that GTX amp. So 3 of them, and they are laid over the 3 buttons. 1, 2, 3. Go back. And this is how it works. So with the foot, or I can do it here. Yeah, with the foot, that's fine. So I have to tap 1, 2, 3 times now. That this upper LED is blinking, that one here. And then I have 3 presets for my guitar. So that what I showed you in the amp settings before. That was number 11. I chose that. That was number 52. And immediately every change I do here is automatically set in the amp itself. Oh, let's go back. So as I jump to 52 and now it's set up here with all the effects I have defined for that setting. So that are the effects I put in the chain. So I have a stereo effect at the end. What I don't want to control, I have a large room. And I guess I decided a bit against the function to select the effects individual with a pedal, because it's very convenient to just loop something and then switch to the quick access mode. I show you that in a second. So now I go to the rhythm guitar, that's setting here, and I go to the looper mode, that is this one. So there is no loop currently. I can start with that button, the loop. I can stop, or I have to stop it with this button. And if it is stopped, I can undo the loop here with that pedal, with that foot switch. To change the guitar, it is very easy. When the loop is running, just hit once to go to quick access, and then I have the option here to set something else. For instance, play the lead guitar over the rhythm guitar. That means foot switch 2 or 3. That's how I use that. So. And that's why every song sounds similar. Okay, let's record one. So, and that is how you stop the loop. So you simply go back to the looping menu, then you press stop, and if everything is okay, you can undo the loop, so you have a fresh mode for looping. You can loop 1 minute with the machine, and I used to have an analog looping pedal here on the floor, but still I have many cables, but I save a lot of space with just that device here, because it does everything I might need. I mean, for just home recording or jamming along with the guitar. Now I want to show you the effects. That is this mode here. Or basically better is to show you first the presets. That is basically every amp in the system. So that goes like this. So you press 2 buttons at once to come to the next bank. That means you have bank 4, 5, 6, 5, 6, and that triggers the effects, not the effects, the amps on the Fender amp. So again, next 7, 8, 9, 8, 9. So everything is the new sound, of course. Yeah? And with that 2 buttons you can back, and I suppose with the GTX7 foot switch, what costs $50 more, it is more user friendly, because there are more buttons to use, and here you have double functions. Press 2 buttons at once or so. But honestly, that looked on the pictures a bit smaller than the other one, and I wanted to decide for smaller machine. So that is the next bank. Yeah, and you imagine you can go through that, and everything is controlling the amp. So that is 25, and on the menu of the amp is also 25, and I see there the effects. Yeah, there you have it. And here are the effects that were set in that preset. So simple, compressor, another one, and that's how you can go through them. But that is also possible with the if I just click menu here and go to foot switch, MGT4, that is with that effect assign possible. Effect assign means I have the first 3. That was the part I have shown you. So that were 3 effects in the signal chain, or in the digital chain, right, that you can select. So the first 3 of them. But of course that is different for each setting here, and I don't know which button means. And I decided for, let's go back. I decided for that combination of the buttons. Button 4 is stomp box, button 2 is delay, button 3 is reverb. Okay, yeah, I don't use them very much. So you have other options as well. That means, for instance, that here, the first button would be stereo delay. The second one would be modulator or something. The third, reverb, and that means that if the amp setting, I hate it. Scheiß. Ja, ist sehr gut. Leck mich doch. So. Okay, that was an issue with that smartphone. Okay, that means if the amp, what was it amp here? Back, let's go back. Bedroom pop. If that amp has no modulator or something, what I don't like very much, in the chain, that button would not work on the foot switch. And if I go again to menu, foot switch, effect design. I already changed it. That was not my. So I guess I had that before. Stop box, delay, reverb. If I have that, and if the setting would have those effects, then I can select it here on the pedal board with those buttons. So I have to go to effects. There I am, and then the first. Okay, this amp doesn't have or this setting doesn't have the delay and the stomp box. It has just the reverb, and I can switch on and off the reverb. So that is with reverb. That's dry. So, and now I use the amp to go to another the jog wheel or what it is at the amp to switch through the devices. So now I am here on the amp 28. It's called Boosted Brit, that setting. And it seems to have all, so a stomp box, a delay, and reverb. It sounds like this. And that is now nice that I can switch on and off some parts. Well, that effect section goes more into the details of every setting from that amp. The idea was also to buy that MGT4 or something, a pedal or so, that I get more familiar with the setting that the amp delivers, because it's from my setup here not very nice to see the screen and so, and the app is too technical sometimes, so I don't use it very much. Yeah, that's the thing. Okay, I just wanted to show you that, and now I talked again too much. I appreciate. Sorry for that. Let's jam a bit.